Good afternoon, everyone. Bonjour tout le monde. My name is Katrina Campos-Arconi Stubbs, and I will be your moderator today. Je serai votre modératrice aujourd'hui. Thank you for joining us for today's media availability on trial running of the O-Train Line 2 and 4. Merci de vous joindre à nous pour ce point de presse sur la période de rodage pour les lignes 2 et 4 de l'O-Train. Our media availability is available in French or English. If you would like audio interpretation, click the interpretation globe icon in the bottom menu, then select your preferred language. You can ask your questions in the language of your choice, and this meeting is being recorded. Ce point de presse est disponible en français ou en anglais. Si vous souhaitez bénéficier d'une interprétation audio, cliquez sur l'icône de globe Interprétation dans le menu du bas, puis sélectionnez la langue de votre choix. Vous pouvez poser vos questions dans la langue de votre choix et cette réunion est enregistrée. Today's media availability will include opening remarks from Renee Amilcar, General Manager of Transit Services, Richard Holder, Director of the Rail Construction Program, and Troy Charter, Director of Transit Service Delivery and Rail Operations. Le point de presse aujourd'hui comprendra des remarques préliminaires de Renee Amilcar, Directrice Générale Service de Transport en commun, Richard Holder, Directeur Programme de construction de TLR, et Troy Charter, Directeur Service de transport en commun et opérations ferroviaires. I will now pass things over to Renee. Je vais maintenant passer la parole à Renee.
Merci beaucoup, Katrina.
Thank you, Katrina. Good afternoon, everyone. It's with humility, but with great joy that I'm speaking to you today.
Thank you for joining us today. I'm here with Richard Holder, Director of the Rail Construction Program, to discuss the latest trial runnings results. We are also joined by Troy Charter, Director, Transit Service Delivery and Rail Operations. After 14 days of trial running, I'm pleased to share that Transit Next has exceeded the on-time performance requirements. The first phase of trial running is now complete. Over 14 days, Transit Next has achieved an on-time performance rolling average of 99.5%. As the future maintainer of Line 2 and Line 4, Transit Next has successfully completed their final exam. This is a significant milestone, and I commend everyone who played a role in getting us to where we are today. I want to remind everyone that we have not reached the finish line. With the first phase of trial running complete, our focus now shifts to putting our operational planning into practice. This afternoon, we began phase 2 of trial running. This phase of trial running will allow us to simulate various scenarios that could occur in real operations, such as operational issues and service disruptions. While we will continue to provide you with updates on how phase 2 is progressing on our website, our daily media availabilities will conclude today. We will return to present the full results of both phases of trial running following the completion of phase 2. I would like to thank all of you, our media partners, for joining us each day over the past 2 weeks. It has been a pleasure to meet with you each day during this critical phase of trial running. Richard will now provide you with an overview of this weekend's results, and Troy will provide further details on what to expect in the second phase of trial running. I want to take a moment to say a huge thank you as well to my team and Richard, who's the lead of this construction. It is a very tremendous achievement, and I'm very, very happy and proud of the team and of TNX. Richard, s'il vous plaît.
Merci, Renee, and good afternoon, everyone. So today's report will cover trial running performance from Friday, October the 18th to Sunday, October the 20th. On Friday, Transit Next on-time performance was 100%. On Saturday, the Transit Next on-time performance was 99.4%, and on Sunday, it was 98.4%. As Renee mentioned, this brings the Transit Next 14-day rolling average to 99.5%. So I'm very pleased to share that this means that Transit Next has exceeded the minimum requirement for this phase of trial running. Before I hand it over to my colleague Troy to speak about the second phase of trial running, I will touch on some of the issues that we encountered over the weekend. On Sunday, we reported on our website that there were track and vehicle issues resulting in a Transit Next on-time performance of 97.4%. However, after the trial running had finished on Sunday, the vehicle logs were reviewed for the Saturday, and the data showed that some of the missed trips that had been allocated to vehicle issues were in fact not the fault of Transit Next and outside their control. This means that for Saturday, the on-time performance was increased from 97.4% to 99.4%. And the 14-day rolling average for that day moved from 99.4% to 99.5%. There were two categories of issues that did impact Transit Next performance on Saturday. The first was vehicle related, where 2 of the 4 engines were not performing as intended or as expected. This led to Transit Next making the decision to swap the train, and this created delays with the process, and 1 trip was missed. The second issue was related to a switch that had moved out of correspondence, so that means that it was not in the correct position. After some quick troubleshooting by the rail operators, the issue was resolved, and this ultimately caused 1 late departure. Moving to Sunday's operations, Transit Next encountered an issue with the automatic train routing system. This system controls the train movements and train arrangements across the line. Transit Next was able to resolve this issue after some troubleshooting, but it is still being investigated further. This issue caused 5 trips to be delayed. While this issue was being resolved, the controllers in the Transit Operations Control Center were able to continue to support train operations, and vehicle movements continued. While the work is not over, I am very happy with the strong results we saw over the last 14 days. And I want to thank everyone, and there are hundreds of people involved, for their dedication and hard work around the clock to get to this point. I will now hand over to Troy.
All right, thank you very much, Richard. Good afternoon, everyone. As Richard mentioned, we'll now be moving to the second phase of trial running. This phase will last 7 days, starting today, and it'll continue until the end of the service day on October 28th. During the past 14 days, we have seen some very strong results from both Transit Next personnel as well as OC Transpo. And I'm very excited to be here today to talk to you about this next phase of trial running as we progress towards launch of passenger service. The second phase of trial running is focused on operating the rail system in situations where staff need to respond to various types of issues that can occur in day-to-day operations. Removing trains from service, launching and reducing the number of trains throughout the day, and activating emergency response equipment such as the tunnel ventilation system in the Dow's Lake Tunnel are but a few of the scenarios we'll be practicing over this final phase of trial running. We will be operating a total of 15 different test scenarios, and time permitting, we may repeat exercises or add additional drills to the program. While there are no pass-fail criteria, the main objectives are to continue to exercise the trains and train control systems, continue to exercise the track infrastructure, including the track switches, and overall to allow OC Transpo and Transit Next staff to grow confidence and expertise with the system in a variety of operating conditions. As part of the validation process, staff will be assigned as observers either on the rail line or in the Transit Operations Control Center to document the experience, to compare against the expected functionality of the systems, as well as staff's adherence to our standard operating procedures. As part of the exercises, we'll be observing communications between OC Transpo and Transit Next personnel, including adherence to radio protocol procedures, and most importantly, to ensure that all the rail operating rules are followed, ensuring that all actions are taken with strict adherence to our safety protocols. Of the situations that we'll be running, 3 of the incidents involve activating emergency response equipment or responding to a priority or potentially emergency alarm. 2 of the exercises impact launch and reduction activities so that we gain additional practice. 12 exercises will require coordination and communications between Transit Next and OC Transpo personnel. And 11 of the exercises involve trains running in alternate service patterns, including single tracking or turning back at a non-terminus station. All these scenarios will exercise the system in different ways with different train arrangements and different segments of the line. We are very excited to be at this point, and over the next phase, we have a lot of activities planned. So looking forward to completing the next 7 days of the trial running. At this point, thank you very much, and I'll turn things back over to Katrina.
Thank you, Troy. I'll ask each agency in alphabetical order to ask one question and one follow-up. Je vais maintenant inviter chaque organisme de presse par ordre alphabétique à poser une question et une suivie. We'll start with, nous allons commencer par Arthur White-Crummy at CBC.
Hi, thanks so much for taking our questions. I guess, of course, we still don't have an official opening date yet, but you floated the possibility of mid-November being the earliest possible scenario. And I'm wondering how confident you're feeling, given that this testing has been successfully completed, that that's still a solid possibility.
Thank you for the question. We are still mid-November. I would not say exactly which day, but mid-November works.
Great. And obviously there's been a number of minor issues that have led to some delays here and there. I'm wondering how many of those are still unresolved, and do you expect them to continue to cause minor delays here and there when the system actually goes into passenger service?
Maybe I can start and Richard can complete. First and foremost, you need to know that it's worldwide that we have to deal with issues with trains. So we know that we will need on a daily basis, hopefully that will be transparent for our customers, but it's normal. That said, before to go to the trial running, we have resolved everything that we knew that we could have issue with. And so those minor things that we have seen are normal things. And one of the during one of the medieval, I said that it's important to not have 100% daily, because it's not the perfect world. It's reality. The reality will be need to deal with things, and we wanted to be able to see how quickly TransitNext and OC Transpo can be handle those situations to minimize the impact on our customers. So I'm very proud today to say that we have deal with those things, and we will continue for sure with what just Troy mentioned, and we will be we will monitor everything to make sure that if we have to deal with a problem, we have to quickly resolve it. And I will ask maybe Richard who can give more comments on the technical side point of view.
Yeah, thanks, Renee. Maybe just to give some examples of those issues that we'll continue to track on the track side. So at the infrastructure, we're certainly very interested in following up on the switch issues. So we had a switch issue at the end of last week, and another one this weekend with a different switch 604, which is at South Keys. And so we'll just be making sure that the adjustments that are necessary to those switches are occurring properly. We're not overly concerned. When they did occur, the Transit Operations Control Center was able to reset those switches remotely, and it didn't really require much intervention from the maintenance team, but it's something that we'll track. And then on the vehicle side, we had the issues with the CCTV cameras, which had been occurring partway through the trial running period. We just want to make sure that that's still very stable, because that is an important part of the safety system moving forward. And then also the issue that occurred yesterday with the scheduling, the timetable that went through a period where the system had to be kind of manually overridden by the Transit Operations Control Center. We just need to get to the bottom of that. So it's not completely trouble-free, but nor are we concerned about any kind of major systematic issues as we move forward through the next stage of trial running, which is the testing of the system through emergency scenarios, and then also kind of improving the familiarization with the operations team. We have time to address these issues.
Great, thank you. We'll move on to Ted Raymond at CTV.
Hi there, can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Excellent, thank you. So first of all, congratulations on this. It's a good step forward for everyone. My first question is just about some people might raise the issue that this was running during a fairly nice period of weather. It's been really nice lately. This trial running didn't take place during the winter, for example. We've seen some issues on the Confederation line during the winter. What do you know about winter operations on this line and what the trial running will tell you about how it will run in the winter?
Thank you for the question and thank you for your nice words. First and foremost, we need to know that we started to run train on those lines in December 2022. So we have experienced a lot of winter, and I remember one of the winter that was so difficult. I don't remember if it was in 2023 or this year, but definitely it was a very good performance of the train. We will continue to monitor for sure the switches. Richard mentioned that earlier, and we know that we have to keep that on our radar. And we know as well that it's Ottawa, so we will need to deal with freezing rain, with snow, etc. But the team is ready, and we will continue to work with a lot of diligence, and we'll address things when they will arrive quickly as possible to minimize impact on our customers.
Okay, thank you. My follow-up question is about this next phase of testing. You're going to be testing different scenarios, but what if something very serious comes up that didn't come up in the last 2 weeks that just happens to get missed? And while you're running the train, something very serious that would have been a fail in the first 14 days happens in the next 7 days. What happens then?
It's a good question, and my colleagues feel free to complete. First and foremost, and Troy said it very clearly, there is no fail, no pass. We will mimic things, we will simulate things. But that said, we could maybe find something that we're not aware, so we'll need to deal with. But the 14 days for TNX, now it's clear they passed their final exam. So if the teacher didn't give the right exam, it's the teacher's fault. It's not TNX's fault. So TNX is clear on that, but we will continue to work with them for sure, because we know that there is a performance that they will need to have to be able to get paid, etc. So we need to provide a service, and if we know something, we will fix it before to go to the revenue service. That's why we don't want to give any date today, because we are very happy with this first final exam, but we still have things to monitor, things that we need to try, etc. And when we'll be confident, we will come with a firm date.
Next is Blair Crawford at the Ottawa Citizen.
Yes, hi. Just to follow up on Ted's question, and I imagine Madame Amilcar is the best to answer this. So this coming 7 days of testing won't affect TransitNext's pass or fail rating. So I'm just wondering, does that mean that the city has now taken the keys, that the system is ours? And if not, can you describe how that will happen, that we will, the city of Ottawa will take possession of the system?
Thank you for the question. So TNX will not be impacted by the next 7 days. And when we will finish those 7 days, we have other things to do. So, Center will make a safety assessment. Transport Canada will need to give us the go, etc. We still have a lot of things to do, but for now the trial running is done. But we need to go after that to the substantial completion, whereas TNX will give us the keys. So for now, we still have things to do with TNX, but the final exam is done. But we have some few things to continue to work with them so we can go to the substantial completion. But this is a question of weeks, I would say, and maybe days, I would say. It's nothing very complicated, I would say, but we have to go there.
Dotting the I's and crossing the T's, I guess. A question then for Troy. In one of the previous Transit Commission meetings, you talked about major disaster exercises. I think one at the airport, one at Dow's Lake. I'm just wondering, are these occurring in the next 7 days, or are those for further down the line?
Thank you much for the question. Those will be occurring after the trial running, the second phase of trial running is complete, and during that 3-week period where we're doing our final drills and exercises. That's when those emergency response exercises with our emergency response providers will be conducted.
Thank you.
Nous allons au Mario De Ciccio.
Mario De Ciccio from Radio Canada. Hello, thank you for taking my question. Ms. Amilcar, you've already answered this question in English, but could you answer it in French? Could you give us an idea of what needs to be done after the second phase? You mentioned Transport Canada. Is that a question of license? Could you give us some more detail about that? Yes, absolutely. Thank you very much, Mario. Well, T-Next has passed its final exam. Now the city has to do drills and simulations over the next 7 days. We want to make sure that we're in a position to deal with all possible scenarios. And after the 21 days, the 14 plus the 7 days that are just coming up, we'll consider that the trial running period is finished over that point. And then we'll move on to the next stage where Sener, which is a company working with, will do an assessment on the safety of the system. You know, we want someone to come in and say, well, you've got the papers, everything's properly filled in, you've got your permits, and then we're working with Recon Rail that supervised us throughout the process. We've been talking to them on a daily basis. Now, this is the company that's supervised us, kept an eye on the whole process, and we'll ask them to help us when we meet with the council in the next few weeks. And then Transport Canada has to make sure that the tracks are working properly, that the information is correct. We've done everything correctly, but there will be no surprises when it comes to that, because we've been working with them hand in hand over the past few years. And when we've done all that, we'll have to do a technical briefing to the council, and we'll explain the 14 days plus the 7 days plus the papers that we've received, the certificates, etc. And that's when we'll be able to announce a date for passenger service. And the weekend before the opening, we'll do a dress rehearsal, a simulation, if you like, with real people in the system. So there are several stages we have to go through, but it looks like it might be long. It sounds long, but this can be done in 3 or 4 weeks. This is why we've said that we need a few weeks after the trial running period is over. Thank you very much. That's very clear. I was also wondering, and I think you've already talked about this at some point, but all the problems we've had with Line 1, to what extent are they moving you to or driving you to take your time in this process? Well, that's a good question. We learned a lot from Line 1. We have brought in a specialized firm 2 years ago. They did a peer review. That's what we call it. And they said, do this, do that, continue to do this differently. That was great. But now, in where we are now, in this phase, well, first of all, what have we learned? Yeah, the media and the councillors have been asking for a date. And we've always kept focus. We said, we'll come back to you when we're ready, because we didn't want pressure. But there is pressure, of course, but we want to deal with external pressure. And then there's transparency that we've shown through the trial running period. It was important for you to actually experience what we're experiencing and that you can see what's going on in a very open and transparent fashion. But I think the public mentioned or told us that there was a lack of transparency during this period of trial running for line 1. So that's why we decided to be more transparent. I think we can be really proud of what we've done. We've been very, very open, and we'll continue to be very transparent and open in the future. And this is also reassurance for me as an OC Transpo leader. I'm sharing with you what's going on. I think it's easier when you know what's going on. You know what's been done, what's coming up, what we're planning to do, and this is what we have tried to do, and I think we can say it's mission accomplished. Thank you.
Next, we'll go on to Shane Seguin at Real Fans.
Hi, thank you for taking our questions today. So I just wanted a bit of, as I've done all these days up to now, just clarification on 2 points in regards to the trial running from Saturday and Sunday. Mr. Holder, you said on Saturday that 2 of the 4 engines, I'm assuming you mean 2, like if you could just clarify what you mean by engines, if you mean the whole train unit or something else specifically. 2 of the 4 engines were not performing as expected. And then on Sunday, you mentioned an issue with the automated train movement system. So if you could just explain a little bit more on that, that would be appreciated.
Yeah, thank you for the question. And it gives me an opportunity just to describe the difference between the 2 vehicles that we have. So the issue that was reported with the 2 engines, the 2 out of 4 engines that were not functioning as intended, that's related to the Stadler vehicle. So the Stadler vehicle is a diesel electric unit. So we have diesel engines that drive a generator to create electricity that then drive electric motors on the bogie. So that's a diesel electric unit. And so people who have seen the train will see the power unit, which is in the middle section of the train. That is where we have the diesel engines that drive the generator to generate the electricity for the propulsion system. That is different to the Lint vehicles that people remember going back to 2013 when they were brought into the city. They are diesel mechanical units. So they operate more like a regular truck, a regular diesel vehicle, where you have a diesel engine that drives through a transmission directly to the wheels and provides the propulsion. So with the Stadler system, with the 4 engines, then they are able to function with 2 out of the 4 engines running. But just out of an abundance of caution, that vehicle was returned to the yard for checks. So that's just a little bit more information on that comment about the 2 engines not working on the Stadler. And then the other question related to the timetable. So we have a signaling system that provides the direction for the operators as they're moving through the system north-south, and that signaling system is set up to adhere to a particular timetable so that trains have a particular window of time to depart from each of the stations. And there was an issue with that signaling system and that timetable system, and those directions were not coming through clearly. And so there was a period of time, I think it was close to 40 minutes, where the train movements were controlled by the Transit Operations Control Center, like more of in a manual fashion, whilst there was a reset undertaken on the signaling system.
Great, thank you for the clarification. And I don't have another follow-up question, but I just want to say congratulations on the milestone and all the best moving forward.
Thank you very much for your interest.
Thank you, everyone. Merci tout le monde. This concludes our media availability today. Ceci conclut le point de presse aujourd'hui.